Welcome to Bruce Hurwitz Presents Meet the Experts. I'm your host, Bruce Hurwitz of Hurwitz Strategic Staffing. You can find us on the web at hsstaffing.com. I hope you will consider us for all your staffing, career counseling, and speech writing needs. I am delighted to be joined today by Ed Forteau. We will be discussing the magical promotional powers of Facebook check-in. Meet the Experts is sponsored by P&K CPAs. P&K is a full-service accounting firm. They provide accounting and consulting services to businesses ranging from startups to small and mid-cap companies to nonprofits, as well as high-net-worth individuals. Contact them today for a free consultation at pk-cpas.com or call them at 973-882-8810. They will be happy to be of service. Ed, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bruce, it's great to be here, man.
Well, it's my pleasure. Please take a moment or two and introduce yourself to our viewers.
I'll keep it brief. I'm Ed Forteau. I'm the owner of edforteau.com. It's a digital marketing agency. Been in the business of working with small business owners, local business owners for about 29 years now. And we're going to be talking about the magical powers, as you said, of Facebook check-in. I am also the foremost expert in the world on Facebook check-ins. No one's decided to challenge me for that title, so I guess I'll keep it.
All right, then. Now tell me something. When we hear about Facebook today, it's almost always negative. That their private information is being stolen, that there are unpleasant actors doing their best to cause trouble. How should business owners feel about Facebook? Should they consider it to be safe or not so safe?
Well, the thing about Facebook is you are correct that there have been problems with security and privacy. And there have been people that have decided, well, or at least said, I don't know if I'll be on Facebook anymore. I'm going to jump off Facebook. But the problem with that is that they always come back because their friends are there. This is a place where you can interact with friends that maybe you haven't interacted with or you can't interact with otherwise. And you have the opportunity to share your experiences and find out what your friends are up to. So even every time something pops up with Facebook that's negative and people think, well, I'm going to stay away from Facebook, there really isn't a good alternative and people just keep coming back. So yes, it's a very safe place for people to do business. And for local businesses, there has never been a better time to be on Facebook.
And can you do monetary transactions over Facebook?
Well, you can, but for local business owners, we're trying to get customers into our store. And in the past, that's been a bit tricky with Facebook or social media in general. But with the new check-in, well, actually check-in's not new. It's been around for about 8 years. It's been probably the most underutilized tool, online tool that's been out there for the past 8 years. And so we're trying to just bring that tool to light.
Well, that's a good segue to my first question, because if you recall, when you applied to be on and we first spoke, I thought there was some sort of a typo because I didn't know what in the world you were talking about. I have never heard of Facebook check-in. I've been using Facebook for a number of years now. I have 5,000 friends. I've got an additional couple hundred of followers, and I have never seen, heard, don't know what in the world Facebook check-in is. So before we go to the slides you prepared, what's Facebook check-in?
Let's talk about Facebook check-in. You know, that's the reason why I am the foremost expert in Facebook check-in, because nobody else seems to know about it. So here's what happens. I'll give you an example. Let's say you are a auto mechanic and you have really good prices and people come in and they like what you do, you work hard, you're considered the honest mechanic that everybody is looking to work with. So you go, you see your mechanic. I'll use my mechanic, in fact. I'll go see my mechanic jamming. I love the guy. He's got great prices. He's terrific service. And after I come out of there and like working with my dealership, I'm happy. I'm happy with what he did. I'm comfortable with what he did. And so after that, I may go on Facebook and do what's called a check-in and just tell people about my experience with JAMA. So it's just like starting a status update. You go on Facebook, and instead of doing a status update, you scroll down a little bit down the page, and you'll see this little stick pin, and that's a check-in. So you click that, and then a list of businesses, both the business that you're at and the businesses that are surrounding that business will pop up. So you click on the business that you're at, and then you write a little something, usually something nice, like I really enjoyed my experience here, or these guys are great, they have great prices and terrific service. Maybe you take a picture or two, maybe of the car, maybe of the owner, and then you post that on Facebook. Immediately what happens is that check-in or status update goes out to all of your friends. And according to Facebook, the average person, not like you're like above average with 5,000 friends, but the average person has 338 friends. So it goes out to everybody immediately. And if they don't happen to be online when you post that update, then one of the first things that they'll see is that check-in status update. And then after you've checked in, Facebook will ask you if you would recommend that store or that business that. And so you can click recommend, and then not only in your status update or that check-in will your friends see that you had a good experience, they'll also see that you recommended the place, and it'll also give a listing of all the other people that have recommended the place. So it's like a massive raving recommendation.
This kind of reminds me, and maybe this is check-in, kind of reminds me of messages I've received where people have been in dangerous areas, like the California fires. And they say, so-and-so has marked themselves, that's my word, not their word, but has marked themselves as being safe.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same thing as check-in?
It's somewhat similar to check-in. It's somewhat similar, yes.
Okay. You prepared some slides.
I did.
And I think this is a good time to share them. So,
yeah,
please, what are we looking at?
Okay, so this first slide is a check-in. And I should mention that these slides that we have are check-ins that we did around town. We don't share our clients' check-in numbers, but I wanted to give people an idea of what actually happens when somebody checks in. So here's a record store that we were at. In fact, we were just there earlier today and bought some speakers from these guys. And that's my daughter there, and she's there buying a Prince album. And we ended up doing a little check-in here, and I want you to look at the engagement. First of all, there's over 30 likes from her friends. And then that was actually my wife who posted that. So 30 likes from my wife's friends, 27 comments. And these comments are interactions that people have with us. The store owner got involved. The store owner actually picked up some clients because he got involved and he could talk to the people that were interacting with us. And we tagged a radio station in Minneapolis, which is a technique that we teach. And that Minneapolis radio station actually had reposted the same post that we had. Now, we're in Kalamazoo.
Do you have to be a friend or follower of the radio station in order to tag them?
No, you don't. You can tag just about anybody.
Okay.
And this is before we go to the next slide, it's important to note here, what happens when you do this, there's three things occur. It's like a chain reaction that happens.
Okay.
So the first thing is this check-in goes out to all your friends. And if you've recommended the place, then it goes out there with a recommendation. We're going to see that in the last slide, I believe. The second thing that happens is this helps to move the business up the search results in the Facebook search results area. Now, people don't really think of Facebook as a search engine, but Facebook is actually the #3 search engine on the internet. It's right behind Google and YouTube, and then Bing and Yahoo are in fourth, but there are between 1.5 to 2 billion searches on Facebook every single day. Yahoo and Bing combined have less than, I think, I think it's under a billion. It's considerably less. It's not. I don't even think it's. I think it's 1/10 the number of searches that Facebook has.
But the searches on Facebook aren't for information. This is a question. Aren't for information the way we would use Google. These are searches for individuals.
Well, actually, yes and no. A lot of people do Facebook searches that are on Facebook because the results are different than what you find on Google. The results are basically experiences that people have had with the business. So if you were to say, do a search for record stores in Kalamazoo, then you would see this check-in. Actually, this one moved up near the top of the search engine. You'd see a listing for that record store, and you'd see the experience that this person had. So it has a lot more impact than, say, a Google search result, which is just bland, and it's the business, whatever the business is saying. This is what the customers are saying. Let me mention the third thing that happens. And the third thing that happens is and you probably aren't aware of this either, there's a Facebook local app, and it's very popular. It's becoming more and more popular now, but it'll let you know what's going on around town, what events are going on, but there's also business listings. And because you are going up the search rankings and because you're getting more check-ins, you're going to show up pretty high on the Google local app also, which means you're going to get more business from that. So they kind of feed one another. Check-ins get you more search results, which also get you shown up in the Facebook Live. It brings in more customers that check in, and then those check-ins can feed the search engine results and also the Facebook Live results. So it's a big cycle that happens once you get started, and it works out really well for businesses that are willing to get in and play the game.
Now, at the bottom, you've written, you can't see the comments, but the gift tag game was strong with this one. What in the world is a gift tag game?
So what we did, just to be a bit playful, and the owner kind of jumped in with this, is we started leaving comments with gifts. And the gifts, since this was Prince themed, we found it's very easy. When you're posting a comment, you can choose a gift, and then you can pick the name, like we chose Prince. And so there are all these Prince gifts that were included. And that's what really got people really engaged in asking questions like, what type of Prince albums do you have? Do you have this album? Do you have that album? And that's what drove some of the customers into the store.
And a GIF is one of these little short 2-3 second movies that loops. Yes. Okay. So now let's go to your next example.
This was a day before my wife's birthday, and it was at a coffee shop. And what we did was...
What did you buy her for her birthday?
What did I buy her? That's a good question. I can't remember.
You don't have to answer.
We went out to dinner the next day. So this one didn't count. This was just like my wife, my daughter, and I going out, and we decided to do a check-in. Here we see that there were 50 likes. There were 22 comments, a share. The hashtags there, we went after hashtags that were search terms for the coffee house. So this coffee house showed up well, also in the search results, the Facebook search results, and also in the Google and Facebook local. So they got business from 3 different places just because we decided to do a check-in. They didn't know what we were doing. We just did it on our own. But that happens a lot with businesses. People will check in, and the business, maybe they're aware of the check-ins, maybe they're not. I know of a couple of companies, well, more than a couple, that have over 100,000 check-ins, and they couldn't tell you 10 people that checked in, which is amazing to me because arguably someone who checks in is their best customer. I mean, I'll ask you this, Bruce. How many of your best customers, every time they purchase from you, tell all of their friends that they just purchased from you?
Well, I don't sell a product. I offer services. But if you will, the closest thing would be my speech writing. And the only thing I use is a site called Fiverr. And the closest thing to what we're discussing are the recommendations, the endorsements, the rankings, the ratings that you get.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that those are shared, they immediately are attached to my profile. So if somebody goes on, they see that I have, I think it's now 81 5-star ranks. But there is no way to share that with everybody on Fiverr. What would happen is somebody is searching for a speechwriter. They don't know me from the next guy, but they see the number of positive ratings I have gotten, and then they contact me, or they contact someone else.
Right.
But I don't have,
hopefully it's you.
In a service-related business, it's just not the same thing. I've had people buy a book, one of my books, and say, and share it with their friends. But there's also a component of confidentiality which does not exist when you're going into a cafe to buy a cup of coffee.
Right, right.
A lot of people do not want the world to know that they're looking for a job. So endorsing my book, The 21st Century Job Search, may be counterproductive for them.
That's true. That's true. But for a business owner who owns a cafe or a restaurant or a body shop or auto shop or a record store or any place where you have a storefront, this is word of mouth that most people haven't seen before. If you were to ask 100 business owners what's their favorite way to get new clients, 99 out of those 100 would immediately say word of mouth. The one would say, could you repeat the question? And you tell them and they go, oh, of course, word of mouth. Everybody loves word of mouth.
It's interesting that you say that because you're 100% correct. There's no less expensive and more effective way to get a new customer or client than word of mouth, because that comes with an automatic implied endorsement, because nobody is going to say, go to Joe's Cafe, I don't remember the name of the cafe, go to Joe's Cafe if they don't like it.
That's true. That's true.
But this changes word of mouth a bit. It moves it up in the social media era, because usually word of mouth is word of mouth. Now it's word of type.
Yes, it is. And people can get creative. They can do videos. They can do, like as we did, GIFs. The thing about the difference between, say, digital word of mouth and your traditional word of mouth is that you'd be lucky if you could get a couple of customers to tell their friends, one or two friends about you. In fact, let's go back to the auto shop. My wife's aunt ended up going there because she saw the check-in that we did. But a couple of things would have to happen. One would be that her car would have had to have broken down, or there'd been a problem with it for us to recommend somebody to her. And the second thing that would have happened is the timing would have to have been right. She would have had to have a car problem and then tell us about it. And then we would have said, well, you should go see our mechanic. But the thing about these check-ins is that not only do you see them once, and maybe it registers with you the first time, but then other people like it, share it, comment on it. And so once they do that, then it goes out to some of their friends when they comment on it. So it's not just the first level people, it's the second level people. It becomes viral. And because of that repetition, in advertising, we always say, you've got to run your ads several times before somebody pays attention to it. This naturally happens with check-ins, and without having to spend a dime at all on advertising, it naturally starts spreading and people see it frequently, maybe 3-4 times, and it's the timing of it. You see it when you have a problem, and boom, you say, all right, I should go see those guys. My friend Joe or Sally, or Joe and Sally both like this guy.
So would it be worthwhile for the business owner to say to his customers, if you go and do a check-in on Facebook, we will give you 5%, 10% off the next time you come into the store.
It would absolutely be beneficial. And part of the problem that we see is that most businesses, I take that back, almost every business doesn't make any type of offer to someone to check in. And so what we found is that if you attach an offer to a check-in, not only are they more likely to check in, but then other people see a deal and then they want to come in. I'll give you an example with a donut shop that we have here. They did a special on donuts, and it wasn't much. Like kind of your typical thing: you buy a dozen, you get 13 free. But people forgot about the 13th donut, so we brought that up, and people came in after seeing the check-in. They got out of their house, got in their car, drove to the donut shop because they could get one free. They couldn't even think that, oh, I can get one free all the time. But because we mentioned it in the check-in, that brought people into the donut shop. So to answer your question again, absolutely you should be making an offer every time you do a check-in.
Let's go back to the slide. I want to make sure we've covered everything. Is there anything you want to add, or should I go on to the next slide?
No, not with this one. This one pretty much is self-explanatory.
This is our final slide.
This is our final slide. And this is what I was talking about before, is that you have the opportunity to recommend the place that you're at. And you can see there, not only did I recommend this place, 574 other people recommended the place. And we got 34 comments, so there was this commenting going back and forth, 33 likes. So it kind of went viral. It went out to more people than just my friends. I bet it went out to a couple thousand, maybe more than that, people. I don't have a whole lot of Facebook friends, but once something gets some traction like this, it just kind of takes off. And so imagine what would happen if every time a customer came in, you had an opportunity to get this type of traction, that they bought, and 10 people, 10 of your customers went out and told all their friends. On average, if they were to do that, 3,380 people would get exposed to this check-in. And some of those people are going to do business with you. It's just the law of averages. They're just big numbers. If you recommend a place to that many people, somebody's going to say, well, maybe I should go in there and have breakfast. Or maybe I should go in there and have lunch. Or, I pass that place all the time. I think I'll stop by next time I see it. So that's really the power of Facebook check-ins.
So why hasn't Facebook check-in taken off? Why, to be facetious, why are you the expert in that you're the only one who knows about this?
Yeah, I'm baffled myself. When we started looking closer at check-ins, we saw all these businesses that were getting check-ins and were doing literally nothing with them. People would check in and it was no big deal. They didn't promote it for people to check in. They didn't follow up with people who checked in. And these are arguably their best customers. You think that they would find out who they are and market to them, because most people who check in will do it over and over and over again. But one of the reasons I think that Facebook hasn't done a whole lot with this is because, frankly, they're not that good at it. They need people to physically go out and talk to small business owners, and they've been trying to put out a lot of fires with all the privacy things that are out there. So they haven't, and they've got a lot on their plate. This is just one of many things that they do, and I think they really felt that small business owners would see the value of this and would just run with it. And most of them have overlooked it, frankly.
Is this more effective than advertising?
If you do it right, it is. If you do it right, it is. The way most business owners just do it is that they let their customers check in and they don't give them any direction. If you give them some direction, like say something nice about us, and if they don't know what to say, you tell them what to say. You take a picture along with your check-in. If you like us, recommend us. There's just a few things that you have to give your customers some direction in, and then give them a reward. Maybe if it's a restaurant, you get a free dessert if you do a check-in. If it's a mechanic or auto repair place, maybe they get $10 off an oil change, or heck, they can give out a free oil change, because if you're an auto mechanic, you're going to find some other problems with somebody's car. The $10 you spent on a oil change is a drop in the bucket compared to a lifetime value of that potential customer.
Is there anything else people do not know about Facebook that they should know about?
Well, I would say the thing that they really should understand is that Facebook and Google too, like what a lot of the platforms are doing is they are gearing up to work more in the local space, because there's just so many small local businesses. It's an area that they haven't focused on. And the biggest problem that places, especially Facebook, has had is it just didn't make a lot of sense to advertise on Facebook. If people are online, they want to buy online, they don't physically go to a store. And now what they're finding is that if we advertise to people that are local, there's hypermobile, which is a way to advertise to people that are in a situation or in a local area that are close to you, to bring you into the store and things like that they didn't have before. And it's just a wide open market for all of these companies now. And they're really starting to understand we should pay more attention to the local business people.
It seems to me, based on what you've said, that the most logical thing for business owners to do is to prepare a card that they would give to their customers, clients, along with their bill, that would give it simple instructions for how to check in on Facebook, and say, once you have done that, provide proof. And next time you come in, you'll get the 13th donut, 5% off, 10% off, a free this, a free that. How can someone provide actual proof that they have done a positive check-in? A screenshot?
Well, a couple of things, if the business owner is willing to do it. And I think a business card is just a card they can hand out is a good idea. We use flyers. We provide the stands for the small business owner. You just put it on your checkout table, and they see it. They check in. They can show the person that's registered their phone. If the business is a bit proactive, you can see all the people that have checked in when they check in, so they can see it on their not their news feed, on their notifications. And they can try to bring in, what we suggest is that you bring those people into Facebook Messenger, and you should really try to have a conversation with them. So you see somebody checks in, you reach out to them on Messenger, you get them into a Messenger sequence so that you can bring them back in with different offers, maybe a VIP club that you might have them join that. And again, these people are, I don't even think you can argue that they're your best customers. You'd be hard pressed to find a customer that's willing to tell all of their friends that they just shopped at your business. It just doesn't happen that often. But with Facebook check-ins, it happens all the time. And a lot of times the check-ins just by themselves aren't that convincing, because they don't add any text. They just check in and post the check-in. And it's not a really compelling reason for somebody to come into the store. They're not trying to sell their friends on going to that business. They're just letting people know that they went there. But if you change things a little bit, if you ask them to write some simple things, all of a sudden that simple, unassuming check-in becomes a raving recommendation, which drives their friends in to do business with that business.
Ed, thank you so much. This has been very informative, and what I really like, and I'm sure our viewers will appreciate, is that you've provided actionable information. So I thank you for coming on.
Thank you. If I may say one thing at the end, is that there is a link. I don't know if you can show the link.
Well, I was just about to do that.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I'm going to share now your contact information so that our viewers will be able to get in touch. And I believe you were referencing, are you missing out on the magical promotional powers of Facebook check-in?
Yep, that's the link to the article, and it will explain everything. I personally think it's the best article that you'll find anywhere on Facebook check-ins, but I'm biased. I wrote it. But it has been shared close to 1,000 times. So other people are beginning to agree with me that it is the best article you'll find on that topic.
Where is the article published? On LinkedIn or Facebook?
It is, actually, on my site, I use a link shortener, so it's just easy for people to find. But if you go to edf.link/Bruce, you'll find the article there.
Well, great. Ed, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for watching. And as always, keep focused on success.